The desert sun glinted off weathered storefronts as Johnny Deadshot West guided his lathered bay stallion down the dusty thoroughfare into Clearwater. Jack Mallory and Doc Holliday flanked him astride their own blown mounts, rich dust coating the trio head to heel. Their sharp eyes roamed the bustling streets, taking wary stock of this sudden return to civilization after weeks roaming wild lands alone, but for each other's company and the whispering ghosts of fortunes not yet claimed. Deadshot tugged his hat lower against the glare. "We'll split up a while, sniff out fresh leads. Rendezvous at the Bull's Head Saloon by sundown." His partners voiced low agreement before scattering into the restless tide pooling along store porches. Deadshot set to surveying the great square from horseback, piecing together glimpses and threads into some pattern that might set them sailing true on the next fierce wind after so much fruitless wandering these long months. The rowl of familiar laughter needled him from the general clamor. Sure as Sunday salvation, he knew its source without glancing over. Threading through the milling livestock emerged a towering gray stallion bearing signature silver-banded tack and an imposing figure to match, Sheriff Elias Conway. Deadshot eased towards the lawman casual-like, touching 2 fingers to his hatband when their gazes met. "Good day to you, Sheriff. Seems our winding trails cross yet again." Conway's shrewd eyes glinted recognition beneath his wide-brimmed hat. "So they do indeed, Mr. West. An unlikely spot to be crossing paths once more." He angled in the saddle, studying Deadshot head to toe. "I confess you and your cohort looked somewhat more weather-worn upon our last encounter. Had more than your share of tumbleweed tanglings out yonder, I take it?" Deadshot shrugged, non-committal. "Reckon this life strings all manner of knots for those what live it. But we're still upright with breath in us, which is more than some might claim after the trails we been down." Conway's mouth crimped, mustache ends twitching. "Well, now there's a telling measure of both circumstance and constitution if ever I heard one. But mark me, son, that brand of defiant grit tempts more trouble than Providence intends for most men. Can't say as I cotton to the notion of destiny overly much when each dawn brings its own changing fortunes." Deadshot kept his voice low and even. Conway meant well, but fate had carved its own hard lessons on his soul no lawman's well-meant warning could smooth. But Conway pressed on, sincere in his concern. "Wisdom suggests a righteous man would do well to pause and ponder the wider consequences of his actions, lest chaos overwhelm good conscience." Deadshot touched 2 fingers to his hat brim again in farewell salute. "I'll bid you good day then, Sheriff. Reckon each of us have our own rows to hoe just now." Conway looked primed to argue the issue more, but instead simply dipped his chin gravely. "Happy trails to you then, West. Try not to stir up too much further hellfire crossing the territory, if you please." In the bustling market square, Mallory paused to eavesdrop on a pair of cowhands conversing around a well pump about recent excitement sparked by a visiting railroad bigwig. "Yeah, old man McAllister rode in yesterday, mean as a rattled cottonmouth with a fancy troop of Pinkerton guards in tow. Come to shakes things up around here sure as blazes by the look of 'em." His wiry companion glanced about warily before answering low. "I hear he's aimed to lay claim to every empty acre between here and Rattlesnake Mesa. But rumor whispers it ain't just rangeland brings him round now. Talk of lost army, gold got his ears pricked up keen." Mallory eased back thoughtful, cogitating this providence as he moseyed on through the crowd. Meanwhile, Doc Holliday bellied up to the rough plank bar of the Desert Dove Saloon and proceeded to ply the barkeep with silver coins and smooth words, until mention was made of strangers recently come to town, asking queer questions about land deeds and such, stretching clear back to territorial days and before. His gambling man's instinct caught the scent of opportunity on the wind, where there was smoke. As the afternoon shadows stretched long, the 3 partners reconvened as planned under the weathered awning of the Bull's Head. But Mallory's posture betrayed a restless energy not shared by the road-weary other 2. He waved them into a back corner table with impatient urgency, then launched abrupt into revelation once they had settled. "Gents, I aim to make a full confession 'fore another minute passes. I weren't entirely forthright about my origins when you took me on as guide under awkward circumstances. Here his boyish features pinkened some under their hard stares. Truth is, I weren't no proper outlaw, just a jack of opportune trades occasional. I let y'all go on assuming the worst. But opportunity knocked again today. Fellow name of Josiah McAllister come to town, fat railroad boss hungering to lock down this whole territory under his industry boots. Now Doc leaned forward, cards flashing rapid through his deft fingers while his glare smoldered. Pray this pointless prattling finds purpose quicker than my patience holds, Mallory. I've no stomach for coy games when plain speech serves better. But the rogue pressed on earnest. I aim to offer you both fair split of whatever profits we can agree, partnering up with McAllister in his hungry quest. With Deadshot's grit and Holliday's brains backing my knowledge, our fortunes be assured, boys. Doc surged half out of his chair, cards scattering unheeded as his free hand dropped towards his holstered Colt. You double-damned Judas, I should blast you straight to smoking hell for even voicing such betrayal. But Deadshot's raised palm forestalled the gambler's fury. Wordless, he ensnared Mallory in an unblinking emerald gaze until the desperado's defiant air withered somewhat. When Deadshot finally spoke, his gritty voice was soft yet carried coiled menace. Seems I misjudged your lies from the start, Mallory. But I ain't one to dwell on past wrongs when the future offers opportunity to set things right, permanent-like. Sensing momentum teetering in his favor, Mallory pressed his case urgent. Put aside bruised feelings for a minute and ponder the percentage we stand to gain. McAllister aims to... A piercing whistle blast heralded all Hades erupting outside. Shouts and splintering wood drowned all attempts at parley. Then a stray bullet shattered their window in a spray of glittering glass. Doc surged upright with a blistering oath, cards forgotten as he bolted for the door, revolver already leveled. But Mallory was quicker, kicking a chair into the gambler's path before smashing a whiskey bottle over the barkeep's head and diving behind the barricade. You yellow snake! I'll see you roast! Holliday blazed away at the cowering Mallory until his peacemaker hammer clicked empty. Cursing, he fished fresh bullets from his vest pocket and thumbed them home. Just as the saloon doors crashed open, admitting a wave of raucous humanity as a riot consumed the street. Townsfolk and strangers brawled with fists, boots, and wagon spokes. Bullets whined random off storefronts while rival camps formed and surged chaotic. Deadshot fought the torrent towards the bar where Mallory crouched, making ready to bolt during the chaos. But Doc raced past him reckless, fixated solely on confronting the turncoat he blamed for their ruined fortunes. A bruiser's meaty fist from the melee caught Holliday high on the cheek, knocking him sideways just as a point-blank shotgun blast deafened the frenzied room. Deadshot glimpsed Mallory fleeing as the crowd recoiled momentary from raw violence. Then his gaze fell on Doc Holliday collapsed prone, dark blood leaking onto the boards beneath his slumped frame. Deadshot skidded kneel at the gambler's side, all ice-blooded steadiness broke by anguish. Holliday, Doc, speak to me. He grabbed for a non-existent pulse at the ruined throat, even as Holliday's wheezing gurgle trailed off forever. A glimpse of Mallory's pale hair vanishing out the alleyway exit jolted Deadshot from his shock. With purpose, he closed Holliday's empty eyes and laid the card-sharp's graceful hands crossed over his shattered chest. Only now, Deadshot registered the ongoing riot engulfing the bull's head continued unabated. Sheriff Conway bellowed again for order, invoking the town's namesake founder himself, but his appeals melted futile against the bedlam. A gap opened amid the roiling fray. Deadshot rose deliberate, silent vow graven into his craggy features as he strode into the street, peacemakers low at his hips and destiny unknown ahead. As the chaos finally dwindled, courtesy of Conway emptying both shotgun barrels skyward, only the groans of the wounded broke stunned silence. The lawman spied Deadshot crouched numb beside his departed friend and crossed over solemn, regret hoarsening his voice. Apologies cannot balm this tragedy I should have foreseen, West, but my oath binds me still to restore what order remains possible. He extended a flask with gruff empathy. When you are ready, meet me at my office and we will discuss what amends may yet be made. Wordless Deadshot watched him depart to issue orders dispersing the remaining crowd. Now cognizant, their actions incurred a death in trade for one man's hasty profit. But Deadshot knew not law nor loot could return what the day's chaos had unjustly stolen. Finally, he stood stiffly, doffing his hat a long moment in final farewell to the steadiest soul he'd known since youth died bloody in border country long ago. Holliday would cheat no more, save at the eternal poker game from here on. West had his own cold calling yet ahead. Mounting up solitary amid gathering dusk, Deadshot turned his back on the remains of worth and friendship sacrificed today. If Mallory dreamed of claiming that bloodied fortune himself now, cold reality would teach him harsh and final the true cost of Judas' wages. West aimed to instruct him personal on that count sooner than late. Destiny awaited.